Hi guys, happy Sunday. I hope you guys are having a great day. Get yourself a cup of coffee because we have things to talk about. Actually, I'm just going to be the one talking, but I would love to hear your responses to some of my questions in the comments below. You can comment on this video or wherever this video is posted. Please leave me a comment and let me know what you think or let me know your responses. I today am going to be doing the unpopular opinion book tag. I have been tagged 3 times to do this tag, and I'm just now getting around to it. I think Ava from All Books Considered had tagged me maybe 2 weeks ago, and then BCS Book Reviews tagged me last week, and then Blackheart Reviews just tagged me on Friday to do this. So I'm finally getting around to doing it. I apologize it took me so long, but I'm going to do it. But first, I wanted to talk about, I have a little cheat sheet over here. Oh, what I finished reading. I just finished reading the last book in K.A. Lindy's record series. If you don't know what that series is about, it is about a sexy politician who's running for office and his romance, this kind of secret hush-hush romance between him and a college reporter, and she kind of has the opposite beliefs as him, and it starts out as kind of just like this hot and steamy affair, but then they start to develop feelings, and she has to decide if she wants to stay with him or not, because he is really focused on his career and the campaign. I thought the first book in the series was the strongest. I really liked it. It was the first book I read last year after finishing Mudvayne because I needed something like light and sexy after being emotionally, mutilated by that book. But anyway, if you're looking for kind of this fun, sexy, like political politician type romance, check out that series. I just finished the last book, and I can add that series to my list of series that I want to finish in 2015 because I'm on a roll. I'm trying to finish up series that I started. I finished the On Dublin Street series. I read the Beautiful Bastard series. What else? This series, there was another one that just popped into my head. I can't remember. But anyway, I'm trying to finish series that I started. Oh, Grisha. The Grisha trilogy. I finished that this year. My chair is slowly moving. Whoa! So, here we go with the unpopular opinion book tag. Some of the questions I didn't have answers to, so I kind of made up my own question or kind of modified the question a little bit. And just as a disclaimer, I'm not trying to be mean in this tag. I feel like my reviews are already I post negative reviews and I don't want people to be like, wow, she's a hater. She's talking more about books that she doesn't like. But I was tagged people and I'm doing this that people don't think I'm ignoring them. And plus, it's fun. You guys like tags, right? Right. Okay. Alright. So the first question or the first, response thing that they want is a popular book / series that you didn't like. I'm gonna, people are gonna come out with their pitchforks with this one. Outlander. I read the first 2 books of that series about 3 years ago, and I couldn't get into them. Maybe it was because I was studying for the bar exam and I was not in the right headspace, but I just could not get into them, and I really don't have any desire to pick up the rest of the series. Sorry, I know that there's so many people who are really passionate about the series. It didn't click with me. I didn't click with it, so I'm sorry, but it wasn't for me. The second one, I actually haven't finished this series, but I read the first book. I really, really liked it. I read the second one, and I just got really angry with what happened. The characters, I just felt were completely assassinated and just mutilated beyond repair. And that was the Shatter Me series by Taha Mafi, and it pains me to say that because I just really enjoyed the first one. I was so excited to get through this series this year, and I just was so sad with the second book. I didn't hate the second book, but I also didn't necessarily like it. Which I guess the next question is not this question, but the next one, that answer kind of leads into the third question. And it was a love triangle where the protagonist ended up with the person you didn't want them to be with, or the one true pair you didn't like. I don't want to give this away, but I found out who Juliet ends up with in Shatter Me. And I'm just going to say it wasn't about who she ended up with for me. It was how she got there. And even though I haven't read the third book, I know enough in the second book with what happened that I just didn't like how it all went down. And that's all I'm going to say. That's how I'm going to answer that question. And it's not, again, it's not that I didn't like this person and the other person. I liked all of the characters in that book. I just didn't like the method by which it all went down, I guess. And what happened with the characters themselves, what the author did with the characters themselves, if that makes sense. I'm trying not to give anything away. I'm sorry, it's kind of gray. The next one is a popular book / series everyone hates but you love. I couldn't think of anything, but so I'm going to modify the question a little bit. I guess it would be a popular or a book that you loved but or is really polarizing, I guess. Like a book that's really polarizing. People either love it or they hate it and you're one of the lovers. And that book would be, for me, Mudvayne. It seems like people either really love that book or they hated it with the fire of 1,000 suns. And I was one of the lovers. Yeah, Mudvayne, Tarryn Fisher. Okay, a popular genre you hardly reach for. I also really couldn't think of an answer for this one. I try to read everything, and that was my email. I try to read a little bit of everything, but I guess I don't typically like gravitate towards like seeking out like, ooh, I really want to read like a male, or I really want to read a female, or I really want to read like a menage, like, and it's not that I have anything against those things. I just typically don't reach for them, so maybe that's my answer, is I don't read, typically like seek out, like I know male is really popular among a lot of people, a lot of readers. I just typically don't gravitate towards those. A popular character you dislike. I had a hard time coming up with an answer for this one. I guess I didn't like Juliet, and it was Unravel Me that I didn't really care for. But I was thinking about this, and this one is, my answer is a person who was meant to be unlikable, but I felt like she was unlikable for like the entire book almost, and then in the 11th hour she's redeemed and all of that, and I just felt like it was too much. So I did like the book. I just felt like the character was like, it was way too late for her to be kind of redeeming herself, and that was Alice from Side Effects May Vary by Julie Murphy. I did like this book. It was good. I just felt like Alice did all these horrible things in the book to other people. She thought she was dying of cancer, but her cancer actually goes into remission, and so she kind of has to deal with all the consequences of all the bad things that she did when she thought she was dying. And she treats sweet Harvey, who is her best friend, kind of like crap for a long time, and it just made me sad. But she's meant to be unlikable, I will say that, but she redeems herself way too late. Can I repeat myself like 10 times, by the way? Jeez. Anyway, that's my answer for that one. A popular author you cannot seem to get into. Again, I couldn't think of like, there wasn't like this one answer that I was like, oh yeah, I hate everything that she's ever written, or I couldn't think of anything, so I kind of just thought of like an author whose series was really popular that I just couldn't get into, like the writing style or just that series, which is kind of answering another question, but whatever. I read the prequel novella for the Clipped Wings series. I think it was called like Cupcakes and Ink. And then I read Clipped Wings, and I just didn't care for it that much. So Helen Hunting, I guess, would be my answer, but I don't really think that's fair because I haven't read other things by her, and I feel like to give like a comprehensive answer, a good answer, you have to read tons of things, and there really isn't an author that I'm like, oh, I've read 3 things by her, and I just couldn't get into it, like, so, yeah, I'm kind of skipping out on that one, I guess. A popular trope you were tired of seeing. Okay, let me step on my, let me get a drink of wine for this one. All right, I'm gonna step on my soapbox. I'll get off in just a second. I am so tired of seeing mental illness or rape being used in books as a way to create like either a character type or a plot device. I have seen this so many times this year, and it has put me in the worst mood when I read. And what I mean by that, like when mental illness is used as like a way to create this like crazy plot twist or as a way to just shock readers, and it's like most of the time when I've seen it, it's been like just thrown in there. There's like no research, or the author will say they've researched it and then like take creative liberties to the extent of to where it's just completely unbelievable and not realistic at all. Like I just feel like that's so taking that problem and just like diluting it and just using it, and it cheapens it, and it's so disrespectful, I think, to the people who actually suffer with those things. I hate it. I don't like it. I won't mention the books right now because I feel like that's just mean, but I feel like I've made myself pretty clear in the books that have those things as to why I didn't like the way they were used. Another thing I just cannot stand when rape is put into a book purely to create like this broken girl, and really that's the only purpose it serves. It's not used to like show that this girl's gone through a trauma and she's dealing with it, like the psychological effects of dealing with it. Most of the time it's just thrown in there and she's like, I was raped and now I can't have sex because I was raped, and you know, and then this guy comes along and she's like, but I feel better now that he's here, and it's like, I can't stand it. Like I don't like that. And I guess just like to be clear, I don't mind when a character has a mental illness, or you know, if the author wants to make the girl's past or a guy's past be that the fact that they've been raped before. Like I don't mind those things, but just deal with them in a respectful way, deal with them in a realistic way that's not just like cheapening them and you're using them as a way to just for the convenience of the plot in your book. Like I just, please stop doing that. Like I really don't like, I mean, I can't be the only person that feels this way. I'm not trying to say like, authors, write stuff from me the way that I want you to. I'm just trying to say like, that's just really just disrespectful, I feel like, and I just don't like it. Am I the only person that feels this way? I don't know. And one more thing, some of these illnesses that are used in the books, they're not even like recognized by the DSM anymore. And I just, stop. Just do research. I don't know, like maybe I'm sensitive because I, you know, my day job, I deal with people who have mental illnesses. I see like the effects of mental illness in people's lives, and to see them used in a way that's just completely, I guess just wrong or cheap, it makes me frustrated and angry. So, okay, that was the answer to number 8. I'm sorry. Okay, the last question, or not even a question, but the saying goes, the book is always better than the movie. But what movie or TV show adaptation do you prefer more than the book? I couldn't think of a movie or a TV show that I thought was better than the book when I've read the book, because typically I won't watch the movie unless I've read the book. So like some of the movies that have come out recently, like Divergent, Hunger Games, I haven't seen because I haven't read the books. But a book to movie adaptation that I really love, and I've loved the multiple, I guess, movie or TV adaptations, is Pride and Prejudice. I have not read the book, so I can't say whether the movie is better or the movies or miniseries are better than the book. But I love the Keira Knightley version. I love the BBC version. I loved the A&E, or I guess it was the BBC version of Wuthering Heights. Thought that was really good. And I haven't seen Outlander, its TV show, in its entirety, but I have seen the pilot because it's free on Amazon Prime. And I've seen the wedding episode because duh. And I will say the guy that plays Jamie Fraser is super hot, and so I would watch the show totally for him. So yeah. I also don't have any answer for that, but I'm making up my own questions because I can do what I want. Yeah, so that was the Unpopular Opinion book tag. And I tag Nareda from Mostly YA Book Obsessed and Alora from Teacups and Bookends to do this tag. And anybody else who is watching this who wants to do the tag, you should do it too. I tag everybody. Now is the time for a book that I think you should read. And I've talked about this before. I know I'm super repetitive in these videos. I talk about a lot of the same things multiple times. I talked about this book a couple of weeks ago, and it comes out this week, which is why I'm saying I think you should read it. And that book is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Ting! I think you should read it. It's really good. I read it a couple of months ago, and I'm not saying this because I'm like, ooh, I read this before all of you guys. Look how cool I am that I blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to be real, people, and I love this book. It is a spin-off, I think it's going to be a duology, of Leigh Bardugo's Grisha trilogy, and what I mean by that is that it's set in the same fantasy world, but it's actually set in a different country than what Grisha takes place in. Grisha takes place in Ravka. This takes place in Ketterdam and in a neighboring country that's kind of modeled after kind of like Nordic kind of country. I can't remember the name of the country. But it is great. It's being marketed as Ocean's 11 meets something else, but it's about a team of outcasts who are hired to break into this prison, and they're all different, have distinct talents, and it's really freaking good. There's romance, there's action, there's awesomeness, and when I was reading it, I could not turn the pages fast enough. It is, I think, 465 pages, so it's a pretty big book, but it's just really good. And I will say, I don't want to give anything away, but it has one of the best couples. Like, the romance between this couple just made my heart race, and like I couldn't wait until I got more of their story. The book is told in multiple points of view, and if I remember correctly, it's like 4 or 5 different points of view in this book. So some people that might bother, but I thought she did a wonderful job creating distinct voices. I was able to keep track of who they were. The way that the story kind of unfolds is kind of like if you watch the TV show Lost. You kind of meet the characters in the present and where they are right now, and some of the characters have a history. So you kind of find out what happened between those characters to kind of pull them apart. The main character, his name is Kaz, and you kind of learn about, how he was orphaned as a kid and kind of what happened to him to bring him to being this criminal prodigy as to what he is now. So it was just really, really great. So I wanted to read you guys a couple of quotes. They are not spoilery. They're not going to give anything away with what happens, but they're just some of my favorite moments from the book. Without being spoilery, I will say. Let's see. He was the same Kaz, cold, rude, impossible. But beneath all that anger, she thought she'd seen something else too. Or maybe she was just a romantic. She had to laugh at herself. She wouldn't wish love on anyone. It was the guest she welcomed and then couldn't get rid of. I really loved that line. I think I put it on a graphic. I really, really liked it. Because it's very true. Oh, and in this moment, I won't say anything about this moment because I don't want to give anything away, but I loved this moment in the book. He took one step, then another, then he turned back. Whatever her reasons, she'd saved his life last night, not once, but again and again. That was a blood debt. He staggered back to her and offered his hand. When she looked up at him, the expression on her face was a bleak map of loathing and fatigue. In it, he saw the shame that came with gratitude, and he knew that in this brief moment, she was his mirror. She didn't want to owe him anything either. I love that moment. So this book comes out on Tuesday. Just as a side note, if you pre-order the hardcover, or if you order the hardcover, then a certain number of them, I think the first printing or something, I'm not sure, but a certain number of them will have pages that's dyed black. So I pre-ordered mine. I'm hoping that I get one of the black stained pages. But Leigh Bardugo posted on her Instagram, like, her opening the book and, like, how pretty it is. Like, the maps in the beginning are really cool. So I'm excited to see the final version. Woo! I'm so excited about this book. Okay. Yeah, so it's not necessary to read the Grisha trilogy, but some of the terminology in this book is not fleshed out as much as it was in Grisha, so you might be, I could see where you might be a little confused, but it's not necessary to read Grisha before you read this one, but I would because it's awesome. Just saying. Some other new books that come out this week, aside from Six of Crows, is the sequel to Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. It's called After You. I haven't read Me Before You yet. It's one of those books I want to get to, but apparently it's really, really sad. I kind of have a feeling as to what I think I know what happens. But yeah, that comes out on Tuesday. And also Menagerie by Rachel Vincent, which I will read you the synopsis because I thought it sounds really, really good. It's by Rachel Vincent. It's a YA contemporary with bits of magical realism. I guess it could be considered a fantasy. But I thought it sounded really good. It takes place in the dark mythology of the Menagerie. When Delilah Marlowe visits a famous traveling carnival, Metzger's Menagerie, she is an ordinary woman in a not quite ordinary world. But under the macabre circus blacktop, she discovers a fierce, sharp-clawed creature lurking just behind her human veneer. Captured and put on exhibition, Delilah is stripped of her worldly possessions, including her own name, as she's forced to perform in town after town. But there is breathtaking beauty behind seamy and grotesque reality of the carnival. Gallagher, her handler, is as kind as he is cryptic and strong. The other attractions, mermaids, minotaurs, griffins, and kelpies, are strange, yes, but they share a bond forged by the brutal realities of captivity. As Delilah struggles for her freedom and for her fellow menagerie, she'll discover a strength and a purpose she never knew existed. I thought that sounded really good. I like books kind of set in that circus world, so that book comes out on Tuesday too, so you should check it out. And then I thought I would talk about a couple of books that I recently added on Goodreads. I used to do that. I didn't do that in my last video. But I think I posted about this book on Facebook, but I added this book a week or two ago, around the time it came out, because I hadn't heard of it before. And it's a YA fantasy, and it's about a girl who notices a new transfer student in her class. His name is Callum, and her name is Noah. And it says, Callum unnerves and intrigues her, and even as she struggles through family tragedy, she's irresistibly drawn to him. Soon they are bound by his deepest secret. Callum is Fae, banished from another world after a loss hauntingly similar to her own. But in Noah's world, Callum needs a special human energy, light, to survive. His body steals it through touch or a kiss. Ooh. And Callum's not the only Fae on the hunt. When Callum is taken, Noah must decide. Will she sacrifice everything to save him, even if it means learning her own love might not be what she thought? Oh, wait, no. Even if it means learning their love may not be what she thought. I can't read today. Don't judge me. But I thought that sounded really good, so I might read that one next, actually. I'm currently reading Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. I've seen a lot of people really, really like that book, and so it's one of the books I got for review that I really want to get to. And then I might pick up Shattered Blue, which is the book. The synopsis that I just read to you was Shattered Blue by Lauren Bird Horovitz. And it's the first in a trilogy. Sorry, I didn't even tell you the name of it. So, yeah, I think I might pick up that one next after Before We Were Strangers. A couple of other books that I recently added on Goodreads, I found in the RT Book Reviews Forwards Book Buzz post a couple of weeks ago, or by a couple of weeks ago I mean like last month when it was posted. And they're both mainstream fiction titles, but they sounded really good. The first is called Meet Me by Kate Eberlin, and I think it comes out in May of next year, so you have a long while before it comes out, but I thought it sounded good. And RT describes it as a couple who meet briefly in Florence in their late teens, and then again 16 years later, with a few near misses in between. Is it too late for them? And it says, we'll have to wait for this title from Harper to find out. So I thought it sounded good. I kind of like romances that span a long period of time. So I thought that sounded good. The next book is called We Are Unprepared by Meg Riley. This book is not on Goodreads yet. I couldn't find very much information about it on the internet. But RT describes it as, it says, an apocalyptic storm and its ensuing damage cause a troubled 30-something couple to reevaluate their marriage. And so I thought that sounded really good. I really liked After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid, which was kind of similar to We Are Unprepared. The premise, at least, is kind of similar in that a couple falls in love and they get married, and then they just realize after 7 years that they just really don't like each other anymore. And they kind of have to, again, like in We Are Unprepared, to reevaluate their marriage. It's one of my favorite books last year. Those are just some of the books I added recently on Goodreads. What are you guys reading this week? What have you been reading? What are some books that you recently found on Goodreads, whether they're old titles or new books? Tell me what's up. And I will see you guys soon. I hope you have a wonderful week. Talk to you guys later.